Hi, I'm Finch Berling, and this is More Than Streams, the weekly music marketing podcast that will teach you how to get, you guessed it, more than streams. This is part 2 of how to get verified by Spotify. And if you haven't listened to part 1, go back and start there because we covered a lot of ground that this episode actually builds on. So that episode was released last week, so you can go back and listen to it. To quickly recap what we talked about last week, Spotify has 3 criteria for the verified badge that they announced and started applying 2 months ago, around the beginning of 2026. The first criteria is sustained listener activity, which means 10,000 monthly active listeners over 3 months and at least 1,000 followers. In part 1, I explained why that monthly active listener number is harder to get than you think and how to build it through saves, targeted ads, and consistent releasing. And today, I want to cover criteria 2 and 3. Profile authenticity and platform compliance. And I also want to talk about how to release more music without burning out and also how to improve your bio on Spotify. And basically, I want to give you the right tools to eventually get verified by Spotify before 2026 end. And well, after I released last week episode, I got a few comments from musicians saying how much they hate Spotify and how much the badge doesn't matter and all of those things. And I just want to say, yes, if you want to make music for fun, the badge doesn't matter. But if you do want to be a musician that labels, managers, curators take seriously, then you want to get verified by Spotify, and I'm sure that will also help you get on more editorial playlists, and eventually that's what you want if you want to grow, because playlists will not give you this badge, and that's the main strategy musicians go for, just getting new music on playlists, because as I explained last week, you need people that will come back to your music, and it doesn't happen with playlists. So this is why it's important to understand that there is more to that than just putting your music out there and doing some ads and playlists. And overall, yes, you need the badge. You don't have to get the badge, but if you want the more than streams, if you want to grow, then try to get the badge. And if you follow my tips, you might get it before 2026 ends. So let's move on to the second thing that you need to pass and get the Spotify badge, and it's called profile authenticity. And when you look at what it actually means, then you understand that it's pretty clear. So the first thing Spotify looks at is your linked social accounts. And for some reason, many musicians haven't ticked that box yet, and they don't have their social media connected to their Spotify, but it's very easy to do. Basically, you just go to Spotify for Artists, you go to your profile settings, and you need to make sure that your Instagram and any other social accounts are connected. Even if you have a Wikipedia page, you can connect it there. It takes about 2 minutes, and it matters both for verification and for making it easy for listeners to find you outside of Spotify. The second thing for the authenticity is concert dates and merch. Even if you have one upcoming show concert, it still counts. And even if you have one merch item, it still counts. Spotify uses these as signals that you are a real musician and also that you're active outside of Spotify. Because I didn't mention it, but their main reason to do the verification thing is to distinguish AI artists with real artists. And I'm sorry, AI are not artists, AI prompters. So if you add your merch and your tour dates, basically you tell Spotify that you're real, because AI can't do that yet. They can't perform live. So You can add tour dates through your distributor or directly through Spotify for Artists, and it really depends on your setup. Merch can be connected through Spotify's integration with platforms like Shopify or Printful. And if you have anything you can add, just add it. The last part of profile authenticity is obvious, and it's the AI question. And Spotify is being pretty clear about it. If you are a real person using AI tools as part of how you make music, that's okay. But if you present yourself as an AI persona instead of a real artist, that's the problem that Spotify is trying to overcome by verifying real artists. So if you use AI tools, that's okay. If you make music using AI, that's okay according to Spotify. But if you're a fake artist, and that's something I really hate, when they actually just create a new Instagram account and just present themselves as different, as real people, like as people with history. They say what is their story behind their music, and they show their family and dog and everything, like it's all fake. I don't know why people do that. They just create like an entirely new persona around themselves and music, and I hate it. And I hate that some people really, I don't hate the people that believe it, but I hate the fact that they make it so believable that they can deceive hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of people that would believe they're real. So I'm happy that Spotify is trying to stop it. They're not doing enough, but that's a right step in the right direction. Another thing I want to talk about is that Spotify doesn't use your bio as one of the specific criteria for making you a real artist, but I still want to spend a minute on a bio anyway, because your bio is what converts a new listener into a follower sometimes, and a lot of artists simply don't know what to write on their bio. So things like singer, songwriter from Los Angeles, or I'm just making music from my heart, it basically tells your audience nothing about you, and you don't give them any reason to follow. And a good Spotify bio tells someone what you sound like and what you are for. If you write something like indie pop artist making emotional, hazy music for people who feel things too deeply, and I release new music every 6 weeks, that gives someone a clear reason to follow you. It tells them what they're signing up for, and 2 to 3 sentences many times is enough. And well, honestly, the best way to figure out what your bio should look like is to go and read bios of artists in your genre. So when I was preparing for this episode, I went and looked at a bunch of them. A lot of the bigger artists, they have something that reads like a press release. It's very formal and polished. And a lot of the smaller ones have something funny or something like just an emoji. And that can work depending on your genre and your audience. If you're making music for a Gen Z crowd or something niche with a strong personality, if you create a casual bio, that can fit you perfectly. So go look at 5 to 10 artists in your genre who are doing well and see what their bios look like. And that will teach you more than any template I could give you. And of course, don't use AI to write your bio. The only way I recommend using AI, and that's how I've been using AI for my newsletters and for this podcast episode actually, is for grammar and clarity. Because you don't want to send a newsletter to 5,000 people and make a stupid grammar mistake. Happened to me before AI, and now happily I can just put it and just tell it, please make sure there are no grammar mistakes and make sure you follow my voice guide, because I have a very specific voice guide on like which sentences not to use and stuff like that. So it's very clear, and I believe that's how you should use AI, not to generate things from scratch, but to make things you already have a bit better and clearer, which is also true for music. I'm okay if you use AI to make your music sound better. I'm not okay if you use AI to create things from scratch, like lyrics, vocals, all of those things. I believe that's part of the art that needs to still belong to you. So, moving on, I want to talk about something else that will help you get a verified badge and help you get the 10,000 monthly listeners, active monthly listeners, faster. And that is releasing music consistently, because many artists, they want to release music consistently, but they don't have enough finished songs, and they want to focus on marketing, but they don't have time for marketing because they need to release new music. So I feel like that's a problem, that you think that you must work on songs separately and not just take one song and promote it more over time and create more variations. Because if you worked on one song for a long time, you can keep using it for your marketing and you can still create different variations even while you release other songs, because a single song can become a lot more than one release if you plan it the right way. So there is a strategy I learned from different artists like GAYLE or Charlie XCX. And what basically those artists do, they take one song and create many variations of the same song. They can have an acoustic version, they can have a collab with another artist, they can have an electronic remix, they can have a country remix. You can do an a cappella version, you can do an instrumental version, you can do a karaoke version, you can do a live version. Like, I think if you give me enough time, I can come up with 50 different variations you can make for the same song. And the best thing about it is that it doesn't take too much time, and sometimes zero time, to create those variations. Because, for example, if you want to release an instrumental version, you can call it a karaoke version. That's basically just a track without the vocals. Or if you want to release the live version, that's basically you singing the song live, and just you can post it on social media again. And that will help you, because every time you release a new version, it will get added to Release Radar, and that will notify your followers that you have a new song. And also, something else you can do very easily is just release the new version alongside the older version, or just all the other versions. So when someone streams the new version, they will also stream the original version. That's called the waterfall release strategy, and you can read more about it on Google and watch YouTube videos about it. Or if you're interested, I will make my own episode about the waterfall release strategy, because it's super powerful. If you want me to talk more about it, then DM me on Instagram, let me know, or leave a comment on this episode. So that's my strategy for releasing more music. Oh, a sped up version. A sped up version is something that works really well also on TikTok. I just had it written down. Just make a sped up version. Super easy to create. And okay. Also, I want to talk about content. Of course, if you release more music, you need to create more content, and maybe sometimes you don't have time to create more content. So what you can do is something that is called repurposing, and this way you can take one video and turn it into 9 pieces of content in about an hour. And the way you do it is you film a reel and you can turn it into a carousel, you can turn it into a static post, and then you can share all 3 on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. So what you do, you talk to the camera, you create a reel, you can turn that text into a carousel, and you can post a photo of yourself and use the text in the description. So that's 3 pieces of content, and you share all 3 on Instagram, TikTok, and some of them on YouTube. YouTube doesn't allow carousels, so it will only be the reel. So that's 7 to 9 pieces of content. And you can do it with any reel. And you can check my content. I do it a lot. I just take a carousel and I turn it into a reel. I can do a B-roll. I can do a static photo. I can use it as an email later. I can use it as a script for my podcast episode. Basically, you can take one idea and use it in different formats. And that's how you save time, because Otherwise, I will have to create 10 pieces of content every day. That would take me ages. So that's all I wanted to say about content and on releasing more consistently. And I want to move on and talk about the third criteria to get verified on Spotify, which is platform compliance. And honestly, this is a very short and easy one. Probably you already passed these criteria. So what Spotify is looking for here is just that you haven't been flagged for spam or fake streams or repeated policy violations. So if you're running ads and if you're pitching to playlists through legitimate platforms, and if you're presenting yourself as who you are, then you should be fine. But if you have bought fake streams in the past and you're worried about it, then what I should tell you is stop and let some time pass, because many times Spotify simply don't hold the old behavior against you. So as long as you cleaned it up, as long as you don't do it consistently, as long as it was something that you did in the past, and also you can just reach out to Spotify and ask them to clean the bot streams, they can do that. If you have done that, then you should be fine and just don't do it again. Now, before I wrap up this episode, I want to mention that if you want to go deeper into any of this, then I send a new newsletter every Tuesday with practical music marketing tips, and you can join the list and get a free 100-page marketing guide as a welcome gift. So you can DM the number 100 on Instagram and I will send you the guide directly. There is also a link in the description of this episode. Now, remember that meeting all three of Spotify's verification criteria does not guarantee that the badge shows up on your profile the next day. Spotify reviews profiles every day, and the timeline is not something you control, so some artists will get the badge immediately, and some of them might need to wait longer, like a few weeks, sometimes a few months. So the sooner you try to follow all three criteria, the sooner you will get the badge. But this is not just all about the badge, because every step you take towards verification is also a step towards building a fan base, because getting to 10,000 monthly active listeners means you have people who are actively seeking you out and your music. And having a complete, authentic profile means you're giving those people a reason to stay, to follow you, and to keep listening to your music, and maybe to go to your live shows. Releasing consistently means you're building your assets. You're building something that grows over time instead of just releasing a song and then disappearing for 6 months, because that's something that so many musicians do, and that's not good if you want more than streams. Consistency is the key. The badge is a signal to listeners that you're the real thing, and the work you do to earn it is exactly the same work that builds your music career. So whether the badge comes in June or in October, or maybe you never get it, the work is worth doing. Good luck, and I will see you in the next episode.